Another loss for the Sabres, but they played pretty well, and they lose two players to different circumstances. That's coming up. Talking about it on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
Your Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We have a loss again on the card for the Sabres, 5-4 at the hands of the Avalanche, and it is not getting any easier. They fall to the Devils. Next up is the Avalanche. We will recap the New Jersey game. We will preview the Avalanche game, a suspension to talk about, and a big injury to the Sabres to talk about as well. Today's episode of Locked On Sabres is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app, use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel. If you do not watch the show, you can do that there. Like and subscribe us, and feel free to leave a comment in the comment section, and we'll try to address it on the show here if we have time. So, a lot, though, to get to on today's show. Saturday afternoon, the day after a 5-4 defeat at the hands of the Devils, who are an elite team. They are not just young and up and coming anymore. The Devils are an elite hockey team. They are an elite offensive team. Jack Hughes is one of the top 5 players in the world today. He is that good. He had a very slow start as a number 1 overall pick. He only had 52 points combined in his first 2 seasons, 99 points last year, and he is leading the NHL this year with now 18 points in 7 games, including a goal in this game against the Buffalo Sabres. Did he get on the score sheet for an assist? Let me double check. I did not have that written in my notes, but I feel like in my mind he did. He did not. 1 goal, but still. His 18th point of the season. He's unbelievable. Jesper Bratt is unbelievable. I want to talk about his goal in a little bit, but a lot to get to. And I do want to start with the news that Connor Clifton, Sabres defenseman, has been suspended 2 games by the National Hockey League for a hit to the head of Devils young player, Nico Hischier. Hischier get hit in the head by Clifton. I thought it was deserved, but it was close. Clifton, I don't think has any vicious intent. I think he is trying to hit Hischier in the chest, and it just kind of happened that Hischier was bent over and kind of leaned forward a little bit more than Clifton thought. I think he was trying to drill him in the chest, and Hischier was a little bit more bent over than he thought, and he hit him in the head. Now, he didn't jump. He didn't lift his feet off the ice. He wasn't charging into him. It wasn't boarding, but you hit the guy in the head, and he has a concussion. He did not return in the game, and Lindy Ruff announced on Saturday morning that Hischier will miss the Devils' next game, and he doesn't know past that. So they don't know the timeline at this point for a top 6 important player to that franchise. So Clifton deserved the suspension. I do think, though, that's just kind of how it goes, right? Like, Clifton is a physical player. He wants to hit people. And I think that just kind of comes with the territory of playing like that. In today's NHL, you can't hit guys in the head. But in today's NHL, for how fast guys move, you also can't really avoid it. So if you're going to play like that, it's probably going to happen to you once in a while. So I don't think Clifton had any vicious intent. It did cost the Sabres. That power play. I mean, I guess the first goal on that after that penalty was at 4-on-4. But anyways, a lot more to get to other than that. Clifton will exit. We'll let you know a little bit later on. We preview Sabres and Avalanche, who's going in for Clifton in the next couple of games. But the bigger lineup thing that I want to talk about is another player that left that Devils game early. This was not because of an ejection, of course. This was because of an injury. Eric Comrie is injured. And I can't believe, I came on this show the day after the Sabres lost and gave up 10 goals to the Dallas Stars last year, and Eric Comrie sat in goal and allowed every single one of them. And I said the next day that Eric Comrie should never play another second for the Buffalo Sabres. I never need to see him play again for Buffalo. And now I wake up this morning and think, what a 180. Now I think, wow, they can't afford Comrie getting injured. They can't afford Comrie getting injured. But here he is, week to week, with a lower body injury, and we all know what lower body injury means. Coaches can try to hide it. Teams can try to hide it. We all saw Comrie not be able to put any weight on his right leg. It is a right leg injury for Eric Comrie. So week to week, I mean, who knows how long that could be. And what's funny is this is right around the time last year when Comrie got injured. And remember, this was said about him that he never really got back to full health. He never really got that rhythm back after getting injured. So who knows if this could even derail his entire season. But here's why it's important. Comrie was playing good. And last night even, he has that one sprawling glove save where he's coming across the ice, and it was after a 3-save sequence in a row. He was playing well in that game and has been playing well all year. And that goes back to the preseason. I said in the preseason that I thought he earned being the team's number 2. Well, so far in the regular season, he's earned being the team's number 1. So far this year, out of 68 goaltenders that have played in the NHL, goals saved above expected, where does Eric Comrie rank? 19th. 19th out of 68. That's really good. Very strong for him. Now, he leaves. You know why this is really important? Because Devon Levi's still hurt, and I guess there's hope he'll be back next week. But for now, it is the UPL show, and that scares me. Now, I think I went a little bit too far. I got a lot. You know what happened the other night? The Sabres get the win over Ottawa, but they almost blew it. And I thought, this just kind of happens with Luukkonen. And I got a lot of, I didn't think they were all necessarily his fault, but I got a lot of, man, like, how can you hate on Luukkonen for that performance? Like, the defense completely let him down. So I went back and watched the end of that Ottawa game, and that's absolutely right. UPL deserved no blame for that end of that Ottawa game. But it was still more of a joke that, like, he's just in goal, you're going to end up giving up 5 goals. It's a natural space that you're going to fall into. So here's Luukkonen, comes in relief of Comrie, and he allows 3 goals. And I did like, and this is not, I know I'm kind of talking both sides of my mouth here. This is not, geared at the people that said he didn't deserve blame for the Ottawa game, because I think that's right. But Anthony from Expected Buffalo tweeted that Luukkonen it's incredible. He's never seen anything like it with another goalie, where he gives up 5 goals every game and they're never his fault. There's always an apologist out there to tell you UPL actually really only should have allowed like 1 or 2 were his fault. And I do think in the Ottawa game that was fair. Most times it's not with this guy. So Luukkonen comes in, he allows 3 goals. And the Eric Haula breakaway on the power play in the second period. Okay. Should he have to stop that? No, he shouldn't be faced with a breakaway. But here comes Eric Haula down the center of the ice, and he's got a breakaway one-on-one with you. And he goes, nothing fancy. Forehand, backhand, roofs it. The whole net is there. And Luukkonen, that's a trend for him because he is very bad in the shootouts. And so it wouldn't be surprised that an all-alone breakaway, he's not going to help you out. So there was that one. The Jack Hughes goal to start the third period, 2:09 on the power play in the third. That's a wrist shot from an elite player, but he's way outside the faceoff circle. He's almost at the point. It's a wrist shot that goes posting in. It's a well-placed shot. It's not necessarily hard, and nobody is screening Luukkonen. Nobody is screening him. He has got a visual lane all the way from himself to Jack Hughes. There's no reason why an NHL goaltender should get beat by that shot by anybody. You should not get beat by that shot. The third goal, I don't think was his fault. Haula, second goal of the game, deflection in front of the net. Like, what are you going to do? I don't think that was necessarily his fault. But Luukkonen does worse than what he faces on the larger scale. And the expected goals number is supposed to tell you that. It's supposed to take out the player and just show, well, what is on him versus what's on his defense. So goal save above expected. I mentioned Comrie is 19th out of 68 goalies this year, and Luukkonen is 60th. He's right back to a bottom 10 guy like he really has always been in the NHL. 60th out of 68. Now, Comrie saves about a half a goal above expected per game, which means every 2 games, Comrie's going to, if he played like this for a whole season, Comrie would save 1 more goal for every 2 games than what you would expect. That's really good. Luukkonen, meanwhile, allows almost a goal and a half per game below expected, which means if for what an average goaltender should give you, he's allowing a goal and a half per game. 3 goals for every 2 games that are going into your net that shouldn't be. And 3 goals on every 2 games, that's going to cost you wins. A lot of wins. In fact, if you look at Comrie's number, it's 2 goals below what Comrie's been. 2 goals per game? You can't ask your team to score 2 extra goals per game because who you have in net. So now, because Comrie's week to week, I'm in the Devon Levi save us mode. I hope that he doesn't have to, but I hope Luukkonen improves, but I'm just not buying it. He hasn't showed it in the NHL or the AHL. Why am I supposed to expect it to get better? The guy hasn't been a top-level goalie since the OHL. That's been a long time ago. Levi, if you're wondering, by the way, he is day-to-day. And Granato said the hope is he'll join the team on Tuesday. So that can't come soon enough. The Sabres play Sunday afternoon against Colorado. It's going to be Luukkonen. And then Wednesday, they start a home-and-home with Philadelphia. And I think they need Levi. They need Levi, and they need him healthy because I don't think you can trust Luukkonen to play more than one every 3 games. And at this rate, man, I'm ready to try anything else. Anything else. This is why they should have traded for a goalie in the offseason. This is why. Because Luukkonen is right back to having to play. Why can't that be somebody else? Go trade him now with a pick to get somebody else. Like, that's what I would be doing. I would be calling around trying to find a goalie because they should have done that in the offseason. And now I got to hope Comrie comes back and is healthy and that this injury doesn't derail his year. It's all bad in that again. Time out here when we come back. More breakdown of the Sabres' loss to New Jersey, some of the stats from the game, and also we'll get to the preview against the Colorado Avalanche. That's coming up here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented by Jace Medical. It's the Jace case, people. Go to jacemedical.com. Check it out. 5 life-saving antibiotics in every Jace case. You can now customize the different drugs that you want in your Jace case. Continually working to expand their medication offerings. In those recent efforts, they've added ivermectin as an option in the Jace case. So check it out. Personalized emergency medication kit. It includes 5 essential antibiotics that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. You can customize your case, as I mentioned, and add additional life-saving medications based on your unique needs. If you go to jacemedical.com and enter the code Locked On, where you could also, by the way, buy a gift card you can check out for your family or your loved ones, get a Jace case of their own. Enter the code Locked On at checkout for a $20 discount on your order. That's promo code Locked On at Jace Medical, JASE medical.com. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. The Sabres get the win. They fall. Why did I say they get the win? They didn't win. You know why? Because I was about to launch into how I thought they outplayed the New Jersey Devils at 5-on-5, which, if you're trying to determine how good your team is, that's the way to do it. Here are the numbers. The Sabres lose 5-4. They were outshot in the game in totality, 39-27. But a big reason was the additional power play minutes that New Jersey got. They were on the power play for 9 minutes of power play time, while the Sabres only got 4. And that 5 minutes might not sound like a lot, but it's a big deal. It's a 12th of the game where you are just going to dominate. So, and I'll show you why. Scoring chances in this game at 5-on-5. The Sabres 22, the Devils 22. If you expand that out, the Devils beat the Sabres 39-29. Big difference when you expand it to all situations. At just 5-on-5, they were exactly the same. Shot attempts at 5-on-5. The Devils 44, the Sabres 39. But because so many of the Sabres shot attempts were coming in the slot and in prime scoring areas, expected goals in this game at 5-on-5. New Jersey 1.3, Buffalo 2.3. The Sabres were the better team. I thought, my eyes told me, they were moving the puck well. They were possessing the puck well. They were finding the scoring areas and getting to them. And New Jersey plays an up and down style, so they're going to allow you to do that a little bit. They were, I thought, the better team at 5-on-5. But the Devils drew penalties, and that counts, and that matters, and that's a part of 5-on-5 play too. So they did that well enough, and Clifton, had a bad hit that gave them an extra power play look, and they won the game. And their expected goals in all situations was higher than the Sabres. So 5-on-5, it was Buffalo, but all situations, it was Jersey. Looking at some of the goals in the game, the Sabres, this is where I thought they played well. Like they got some breaks too, right? Like JJ Peterka's first goal. There's a break there, and there is skill on display. Luke Hughes slips and falls. And that's going to happen once in a while, right? That's a lucky break because otherwise the Devils are in good position defensively there until Hughes falls, and now it's basically a mini breakaway for Peterka. But I will give Peterka a lot of credit. That's a great finish. That is over the shoulder of Vitek Vanacek, the Devils goaltender. That is bar down. That is a great shot by Peterka to get his third goal of the season. You got a really nice skilled play between Jordan Greenway, Alex Tuch, and Tage Thompson. Greenway digging the puck out in the corner. He pushes it down low to Tuch, a little behind the back pass, if you will, to get it out to Thompson in the slot. And Thompson with a trademark goal that he hasn't had in a while, where he goes around the goalie and then tucks it in behind him. Forehand, backhand, below the goal line, and then he tucks it through past the post for a really nice goal by Thompson, his fourth of the season. And then the Dahlin goal. The Dahlin goal is just a blast of a shot. Again, nice possession by the Sabres. They did a good job making some passes on that play and establishing a zone time. So they did earn the goal while also got a little bit of a break because Dahlin rips that thing and it goes off a Devil, changes direction, and finds its way past Vanacek. Dahlin getting his first goal of the season. Cousins, that's a nice goal too, right? Like that's, again, he enters the zone, he cuts to the middle, and the puck gets whacked off his stick before he's able to get an amazing scoring chance. But the Sabres corral it. They get it to Okposo behind the net, and he puts it to Cousins, and Cousins has a nice shot to find a little bit of room on the post to go short side from a bad angle. And at that point, I'm like, well, the Sabres are destined to win this game. But they gave up goals immediately after. They fell apart a couple times defensively, and they did not have a goalie that could bail them out. That was in the net. And that's the worst part. Vanacek on the night, he allowed 4. He wasn't great either. But there was a second period flurry where Vanacek scored 3 saves in a row. Incredible saves, all in the middle. He stopped 2 breakaways. Like there were 4-5 chances in this game where I thought the Sabres should have scored, and the Devils, who have a really good goalie, Vanacek, who used to be a backup level goaltender and has developed into more than that, he's been great. He's been great for them for over a year now. And there's a goalie that was able to bail them out in bad spots. I'm going to make a big save for you. And he did. And that's a big reason why they won. And Vanacek's one of those guys that was just sitting out there. 3rd round pick. They traded for him before last season. Like, yeah, you could have just had him for a 3rd. Nothing. And the Devils got him, and now they have a legitimate starting goaltender. And that's a big reason. That's a huge reason why the young upstart Devils are a legit contender and the young upstart Sabres are not yet, because they've got a goalie they can rely on. They went for a guy outside the organization. Sabres have not yet done that. Timeout here. The Sabres fall to the Devils. What's next? It doesn't get any easier. I can tell you that. I can tell you what the lines will look like, though, against Colorado. Sunday at 1 o'clock. We'll preview it coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented by Sleeper. I love Sleeper. I'm all over Sleeper. I'm Sleeper all day today trying to make fantasy trades. It's the most user-friendly app. I never have to go. There's some apps, some sites that I have complaints about. And I'll tell you, I'm right here, right now. I'm sure Sleeper won't mind. Other sites that are not Sleeper, other apps. I go to the app, and there's things I can't do on the app that I want to, and I've got to go to my computer. Sometimes not home. I can't even do it. But I got to wait till I get home. Then I got to go down. I got to start my computer up and then do it on the website because it's not available. Some function that I want is not available on the app. There is not a single function on the Sleeper website that is not available on the app. Everything is available on the app. It is the best user-friendly app in the fantasy space. And it is not just season-long fantasy. This is a lot of fantasy football for me, but daily fantasy as well. And Daily Fantasy Hockey. Check it out. You could look through a list of Sabre players. You could pick a bunch of over-unders for different stats, maybe shots on goals, one that I like to do a lot. You can win big with Daily Fantasy Hockey on Sleeper. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in Daily Fantasy Hockey contests. All you got to do, pick a player, pick Tage, an over-under for shots on goal in a given game. And to win a $100 bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. So not just Tage, but pick 7 others. If you predict them all 100 times for that promotion. You heard me. You can win 100 times your money playing Daily Fantasy Hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can start winning big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You'll get up to a $100 match as well in your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, thanks for making us your first listen every day. Sabres and Avalanche does not get any easier for the Sabres on Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock. This will be interesting for you Bills and Sabre fans, football fans, because Bills already played on Thursday night, so they cleared the decks. Sabres have a 1 o'clock available to them if they want, and they could get people in the building, I'd think. But they're still competing with the NFL. And I know for me, I'm doing the double TV on Sunday. I'll have the Sabre game on one screen and Red Zone on the other. But I wonder how many fans will go to this game, because you're going to really need a fan that wants to skip the whole day of football. But you could do. You could just say, screw it, I'm going to go to the Sabre game, watch the 4 o'clock football games later, and Sunday night I'll get my fix. But I wonder how much that will take away from them. So we'll see. It's black and red, hockey, Halloween. Super cool. And you gotta wear black and red when you're doing a hockey Halloween. So the goat heads, which means the Sabres can't lose, even though I kind of hesitate to say that because Colorado can't lose either. Colorado is 6-1 on the season. They're right back at it as one of the best hockey teams in the league. And right now, I think they are the best hockey team in the league today. If I were picking, did I do it? Maybe I even did a preseason. How did I not remember who my Stanley Cup pick was? I'll look it up. But either way, if I were picking a Stanley Cup champion today, I would pick Colorado. I think I did pick Colorado. So far this year, they're second in expected goals for, they're third in scoring chance percentage, they're fourth in shot attempt percentage compared to their opponents. They dominate teams. That's what they do. They're super fast. McKinnon, Makar are I think the best 1-2 duo in all of hockey, given they play different positions. And I think McKinnon's probably the second best forward in the league. And I think Makar is the best defenseman in the league. Colorado's really nice. Looking at some of their stats for this year. Hold on one second. I had it open and I closed it. The Avalanche this season. Mikko Rantanen leading the way, 12 points. He's a super underrated player because he kind of rides shotgun to McKinnon. 12 points in 7 games. Makar, 9 points in 7 games. McKinnon, 7 points in 7 games. Those are the big 3. They don't have Gabriel Landeskog available to them. Big injury to Landeskog that is going to have him out of this game. So don't count on him. Bowen Byram, also a nice young defenseman as well. And Alex Georgiev has been their star goaltender. He has started 7 games so far this year. I don't know if they'll transition away from him. I think, the writing is on the wall that they're going to ride him into the ground. And the Avalanche are not on a back-to-back. They play not till Wednesday. And they've been off since Thursday. So they're kind of smack dab in the middle. 1 game in 5 nights. I don't think that they're going to, or 1 game in 6 nights even if you want, or 5 nights, whatever. I think they're playing Georgiev is all I would say, but we don't know that yet. The Sabres lineup is as follows, looking for the couple of changes in this game. And with that, suspension to Clifton, Jacob Bryson enters the lineup. Now he'll play on the third pair with Eric Johnson. That's who he was skating with at practice. Bryson is just kind of a guy. He's a little bit of a fun player, skates around. Definitely less physical than the guys replacing in Connor Clifton. So let's see if Bryson can establish himself as a regular NHLer this year, or if we're going to be right back where we've been with him, which is, okay, this guy can play in the NHL, but he might be more of a tweener between the AHL and the NHL. Look at it down there in goal. Devon Cooley is going to back up Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Who? Guy who has a slug mask. I'll tell you that. He's got the slug on his mask. Devon Cooley, 26 years old, career AHLer and ECHLer, long-time college hockey player, was really good in college. He's never played in the NHL, but he's played well in the AHL. He's played better than Luukkonen has, by the way, in the AHL. Last year for Milwaukee, a nice .909 save percentage, pretty good. Scoring was up in the AHL, just like the NHL. He was even better in the playoffs with a .920. And this year, off to a good start, 3-0-1 with the Amherst. Had a nice camp, and the Sabres feel that he has earned that fourth job over Dustin Tokarski. So it's Cooley, or Michael Hauser too. But Cooley's getting the call up. He'll back up Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I doubt he'll get a game because Levi should be back by Wednesday. But if Luukkonen starts to fail, I would not hesitate to put Cooley in. I'm that low on Luukkonen. If Luukkonen gives up a couple quick ones, put Cooley in. Forward, I skip right over forward. Zach Benson enters the lineup, and he's going to do it on the top line with Tage Thompson, Jordan Greenway. Now, Granato said he wants to get 3 scoring lines, which is why he did this. Because in the last little bit, he has kind of had 2 top lines and then a third line that's okay, but he wants 3 good scoring lines. So he's splitting up Thompson, Middlestat, and Cousins again. Thompson with Benson and Greenway. Let's see if Thompson can run his own line. Middlestat with Peterka and Greenway, or with Skinner, and then Cousins with Olofsson and Tuck. Meanwhile, Peyton Krebs will skate with Zemgus Girgensons and Kyle Okposo. Those are your forwards for Sabres and Avalanche, the expected lineup. 1 o'clock Sunday. Sabres are a big underdog, as you could expect, against Colorado. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the goat heads, and they can enjoy the black and red because we don't get to see them all the time. But they usually do pretty well when they're in them. Thanks for listening to the Locked On Sabres podcast, making us your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.